What's up, everybody? I felt the need to kind of get this off my chest, so I'm going to take a stab at it. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I was a huge anti-science advocate. I refused to believe what science wanted to tell us. I tried to make videos about it, but I didn't really get one I was happy with. Because I guess a lot of the reason I couldn't post any of those videos I tried to make about it is because they were mostly straw man stuff, stuff about just assuming that I knew what science was out to do. But in the end, we have this big war between science and religion right now. Science is telling you, that pretty much that there is no God, there is no afterlife, there is no spiritual energy or anything external from your brain dictating what you do or how you feel or who you are. And I didn't want to believe that because, when I listen to a song that I love and I get tears in my eyes, and these are just specific examples that I've rehearsed a million times, so that's why they sound fake. But, like, for instance, a couple weeks ago I was sitting at my sister's house, and my 5-year-old niece, she just ran up to me and she threw her arms around me. She said, "I love you." And science would have you believe that it's only because of chemicals that I was happy when she did that. Science would have you believe that there was nothing there other than a chemical reaction, because that's what we do. And that pisses me off. Even now it still does, even though I've kind of heard a strong case for them just recently, which has totally leveled my way of thinking about this right now, and I'm not even sure what I think right now. But a couple weeks ago I saw a video in which someone basically pointed out that everything you think you know about who you are, about what you remember, it's all right up here in your brain. And you can basically prove that by looking around at these people who get in car accidents and sustain brain injuries or get brain tumors. When this stuff happens to their brain, when they get a brain injury, it alters their personality, it alters their memory. Some of these people wake up and they don't even recognize their own family. So how do you explain that? How can there possibly be any kind of awareness, external awareness out there somewhere, or spiritual energy out here dictating who we love, or what we remember, or who we are, or anything like that, if a little brain injury can just totally make you forget all that, can totally take that all away from you? I mean, it's an iffy argument because the other person who's still in your family, they still remember who you are. They still remember all the times you had together. Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But what's the point of anything happening at all if you can't remember it? That's what I'm wondering. Well, I don't know. But you hear about this all the time. You hear about people getting brain damage and suddenly they lose their awareness. And it's like, well, where was it before? Because if it's not there now, then obviously it was only up here to begin with. It wasn't being sent to you from out there somewhere. It was all right here. It started here, it originated here, and when your brain dies, it ends here. When you die and your brain dies along with it, that's it. There's no more awareness for you. I'm not going to totally discount the possibility that there is some spirit that is beyond our awareness, that, because I'm always open to the possibility that there is something greater than we are. And for that, I'm not scared of death. I mean, I guess I still do, deep in my heart of hearts, I do believe that there is an afterlife, but I don't know, it's just really baffling when you think about it that so much of what you think you know in this life could just be gone like that because of something that happens to you physically, that you could lose all of that stuff that you thought was coming from somewhere else. Maybe you'd only lose your so-called awareness of that stuff. But like I said before, that stuff would still exist because it would still be in the other person's memory. So maybe the only thing that you ever take with you is what you do with someone else. I don't know. But that's beside the point. I don't know. I don't even know what point I'm trying to make right now. I was just kind of rambling, wanting to get this off my chest. There are things that science still fails to explain to me, such as suffering. I know science will tell you that it's merely our aversion to it, and not necessarily the suffering itself that actually exists. It's merely an aversion inside of our heads, once again, that causes us to think we're suffering. But But last time I checked, chemicals don't suffer, They have violent reactions, but there's no feeling involved, and, anyone who's been through physical pain knows that there is something going on there that's incredible that makes us, I don't know. I mean, it really could be just a chemical reaction, I suppose, but if that were the case, I mean, wouldn't it be possible for a car to suffer then? Would it be possible for a car to suffer? I mean, a car is just chemicals too, right? But you've seen when a car struggles to start, or, a car starts slower when it's cold outside. Why should that matter? If it's a machine, it doesn't have feelings. Why does it start slower when it's cold outside? Because it's harder for the atoms to move. Well, that's the same thing with us. We move slower if we're in a pool of mayonnaise, right? What's the difference? Because a car doesn't have awareness, because it doesn't have that string of atoms that creates the illusion of awareness. What if you put that into a car? Then the car would be aware, and it wouldn't have free will. But some people would argue that we don't have free will either. I say we do, but I'm not even going to get into that. But could you imagine if a car was actually aware of what was happening, but it didn't have the capacity, the physical capacity or the free will to change it? Of course, how could you possibly be aware of what was going on and not be able to change it? If you were aware, you would have to be able to control what was going on, right? See, this gets into the whole debate about, like, when you hear about these people who are in hospitals who are brain dead, but people say, well, you should keep them alive because, well, they deserve it, because they deserve to be alive. And to me, this is going to sound terrible, but to me, it's just, I don't see what the point is of being alive if you can't do anything with it. All the things that are great about living, like falling in love or listening to music or exercising or driving around looking at the beautiful scenery, you can't do any of that in a hospital bed when you're brain dead. There was this big, huge controversy about that a few years ago. Some girl was in a hospital bed, and they were trying to decide whether to pull the plug. And everybody was saying, well, no, don't do it, because she smiled this one time. The science will tell you, well, that was just a chemical reaction. People say, well, she smiled, she had to have felt something. But because it wouldn't make sense for her to smile just off of a chemical reaction, would it? Well, it doesn't make sense to turn a key in a car and an engine start either, but it's a chain reaction, It's just a matter of, grasping the concept of a chain reaction and of, sometimes just because there's not one cause and one effect doesn't mean that the cause couldn't lead to an effect through a series of causes and effects. I guess. I don't know. I don't know jack squat about this. I really don't. I'm sitting here speculating about, stuff that I don't know anything about. Sorry, I keep reaching for my nose. I got a nose itch problem. I got one of those invisible boogers. Where you sit there and pick and pick and pick and you can't get anything out. Okay. Time to stop the camera, no doubt about it.